Hi everyone, welcome. We're so excited.
Hello.
Kate and I are back. It's
Yes, we're
time
back.
for a new episode of Shut Up.
Keep going.
Ah!
And what better
So
time than ever than a Monday
then a
morning?
Monday morning, every Monday morning. So some housekeeping up at the top. If you guys haven't already listened to our podcast, you should, and you kind of missed a really great time to catch up because we kind of disappeared for a little bit. Yeah, we're back. We can call this season two. That was a great pro tip is that we need to start checking our mics before we start. That is my bad. 6 speed.
You know,
Thanks for using Prime. Gave me some of me. What's up? Yeah, so we are on season 2 of Shut Up Keep Going, a podcast where we explore our internet
our internet
curiosities.
curiosities.
I like forgot
It's
how we
not quite as
start,
well on the internet, but
but it is what it is. If you guys can't stay for the whole time, we do put the VODs up on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/shutupkeepgoing, all one word, on Fridays. And that's also when we put the audio version of the podcast up anywhere that you get your podcasts. So we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all the other places. I don't know. Where else do people listen to podcasts?
I don't know. Well, it's probably there.
It's probably there. But yeah, so you'll find all of that. It goes up every Friday just in case you miss an episode. But if you're live and you're watching this now, then you're seeing us. And if you're listening on one of the various podcast networks, we are live on Twitch every Monday to record the episode live. That's on my Twitch channel. So Sid So Good, twitch.tv/Sid So Good. But yeah, let's get after it. Kate is presenting this week.
Yeah. Well, how are you, Sid? I feel like we haven't
Oh
really
yeah, we
caught
haven't
up.
really caught up. Let's fill in some gaps. I'm good. I feel like, well, how are you, Kate? Because I feel like they know how I am. So how are you?
I'm good. I actually had a really restorative. I know the new year is like technically arbitrary, like nothing actually changes,
Isn't
but
that weird to think
this year more
about?
than ever.
That it doesn't actually matter?
Yeah,
Like we just like assign meaning to it.
but I don't that's true and it's not. It's like it's good to have a marker being like, all right, now we're going to try to start over and like feel free to use this to benefit yourself, which I feel like I definitely did. And so I've had a pretty good January. I feel
Oh.
like last week, like after being so like excited, last week I kind of dipped a little bit, but I'm back after a restorative weekend of sitting on my deck in the sun,
I was just gonna ask, what are
which
you like, what's
helps.
restorative for you?
Um, Nothing specifically. I mean, just like doing the same thing I always do, but feeling better about it. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. Well, it sounds like you like if you're in the sun, like maybe the sun is restorative. You're like a
Well, we've
plant.
had this ongoing saga with our freaking deck. We moved into this house in February. The week after we moved in, our landlord tore out our front steps up to our house and was like, "Hey, so like I'm gonna build you guys a really nice deck instead of a staircase." And we're like, "Oh my God, that's so nice. Like you don't have to do that." And she's like, "Yeah, it'll take like a month." Fast forward to January 2022 now. It is finally finished, and for about 7 months, I had to walk all the way around up a giant hill to get into the back of my house. But the problem is
Like a dirt
now is
hill?
that no, it's just like our huge driveway that's very steep.
Okay, okay.
The problem is now, and I have to talk quietly because she's out there as I speak. She she's had 4 crews of painters come in to repaint our entire house the same color as it was that she had painted it a year ago, so I don't really
Just a
totally
fresh
understand.
coat.
I go out last week and then has a pair of nude pantyhose over her face and she's painting our house not with aerosols, which I would think would be the reason for that, And she's using, Sydney, like the paintbrushes you get at Michael's to do art projects in high
So
school.
it's like
Like
this
she's using
big.
the tiniest little brush and is just going in and like painting our house. And I'm like, stop making it's fine. But now I guess she just lives on our deck. And I think
She
it's
lives on your deck?
psychological. I basically all day long. I walked out the other day. Her 6-year-old son was landscaping our front yard. I was like, I can't be responsible for your use of child labor. Um, so I don't know. It's been a real saga. So when she's gone, it's really nice to go out there and remember that it's the front of my house and not my landlord's weird outdoor house.
Well, that's
So
nice that she at least takes weekends off, it sounds like.
yeah. I mean, she has an entire family, so I don't really know how she has all this time to be painting. Um, it's really interesting to live in an art project, your landlord's art project. I
Maybe
don't really recommend it.
maybe because I feel like you're so like creative and just like in it. Maybe this is like, do you think, is Caleb a like performative, like a performance artist? And maybe this is like all just like a
His doing, you
performance.
think?
Yeah.
I could see it. He gets into really interesting interactions with her that he now thinks that she has a crush on him. And she's like in her late 50s
Maybe that's why
and
she's
is
around
kind
all the
of,
way, all the time. She's trying to
well,
like
we think
see
so because
Caleb.
she always knocks on our door. And if I'm there, she's like, okay. And then she's like, when Caleb's there, she talks to him for like 20 minutes. And I'm like, back off, lady. So she did, though, when she apologized month 6 of us having a bombed out front yard. She sent us, I am not kidding, 10 bottles of rum because we had this conversation about us liking tiki drinks, and I opened my door to a literal crate that these guys are lifting up
10 bottles?
the driveway. And they're like, this is for you. And I'm like, it can't be. Like, I don't know what we ordered. And I open it and I just keep pulling out bottles of rum. And I got like so stressed out because I was like, what am I supposed to do with all this? I'm not fucking Jack Sparrow. But to be really honest, we've already gone through all of it. I mean, it was in
Really?
the summer
Because I was gonna say
and we had a few parties. So
I could see like tequila. Well, not tequila. I could see like wine. But to me, rum is just something that I feel like people don't. They're not like, oh, tough day at work. I'm just gonna pour myself a glass
me
of
having
rum.
these 10 bottles of rum, I think someone, like our friend came over and they saw, we just put them on our table because I didn't know where to put them. And this person walks in and was like, what's happening in here? Like, are you guys okay? And we're like, do you want any? Like, you can take a bottle. I don't know what to do with all of it. And it was like really fancy. I maybe should have sold it. Like, it was like $60 bottles of rum.
Oh, geez. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Does she have like a
I'm like,
hookup or
just build
something?
a deck.
Just
I don't know. But I think I'm convinced that she has Munchausen's with our house. Like Munchausen's by proxy with our house. Like she has to keep fixing it. Do you know what I mean?
Landlords, we've talked about this like off podcast before, is just that like to be not necessarily a landlord, because like what's the difference between a landlord and a property manager? I don't know, but the one that like interfaces with the tenants, I think you have to have like a very distinct personality, because everyone that I've had, especially when it's like an independent building, like you're not renting through, you know, one of those like there's like 32 units or whatever, they're always they're just very interesting people.
They're very off. My last landlord, Sid, was the craziest person I've ever met in my entire life. She was from some country. Like, I could never figure out where she was from.
Mm-hmm.
And she always wore the same outfit. I lived there for a year and a half. She wore the same outfit every single time I saw her, which was a bedazzled New York shirt and snakeskin leggings.
No, she's probably from New York.
No, she's not. She was like, you can't move out if I'm out of the country. And I was like, okay, like, when would you be out of the country? She's like, I don't know, but when I leave for like 6 months at a time. And I was like, well, that's really inconvenient for me. Like, I can't just not. Anyways, and
you're
then
just stuck there for 6 months.
I had a really weird last interaction with her where I kind of freaked out on her when we did our end walkthrough because the state of the building was terrible. And she told me it was all me. And I was like, there's no possible way that the cracks in the foundation are my fault for living here for 1 year and a half. And so I stormed out. And then when I came back to get my check, she said, will you forgive me? I want you to like me. And I was like, I'm never going to see you again in my life. Like, I don't know what's happening. So, I don't know. I just went into my landlord.
So to be fair though, okay, so 2 stories. One, my last landlord, he seemed like a nice guy, but he definitely gave like weird vibes. Like I remember when we were applying and we found him because friends of ours had lived in that apartment previously. And so they like, you know, sometimes when people move out and they like say on Instagram, like close friends, and it's like, hey, I'm moving. Does anybody want my apartment? That's kind of what happened. And so like we go and meet this guy. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Did I get to see? Is that an Ernie?
Yes. Say hello.
Hello. What a sweet cat. See, that's why you want to watch the live version, everyone.
You get an Ernie viewing.
You get an Ernie viewing. No, but so the landlord, he was really weird about it, and he was like, yeah, like I just really like I need to like interview you and your husband separately because like when I let you live on my property, like you're an extension of the family. And so like I really need to know like how like who am I letting into my family? And it was just like super weird. And so like we talked him down to like, no, you can interview us at the same time. Like you don't need to do separate interviews. Like you can like see us at the same time. So we show up to his house and he just like,
what?
He's like, have a sit. And we thought maybe it was just like a formality. Like maybe he had like 10 questions for us or whatever. 3 hours later of us sitting on this man's couch and him asking us like, where did we grow up? Like, what were our parents like? Like, what kind of values were instilled in us? Like, it was, but we wanted this apartment so bad. It was rent controlled and it was huge. And so we were just like, okay, we just need to get through this. Like, we just need to like handle this. And I think that the man just didn't have very much contact, but he had, like you said, full family. Like he was like a family man. He had 2 little girls and a wife, but anything that could have been happened over email or over like technology, he made sure it was in person. So like, oh, and then I forgot about this. So we get introduced to him over email. This is before the interview. And he emails back this like very, like it didn't really make, it was so vague that it could have been the response to like any email. It didn't say anything like, oh, hey, like so nice to meet you. My name's whatever. And like, like this is the building and let's set up time, whatever. He like emailed in like code. Like it was like, hello, something, like party central, something. And we were like, huh? And so when we met him in person, he texted us to meet him in person. And then when we did, he was like, yeah, like I do that all the time because I want to make sure that like people aren't scamming me. So like my fake email is like, was some like party storefront or something. It was so weird. He was such a weird dude. But I think he seemed benign. He just seemed really weird and always to be craving human connection.
Well, that's the thing. And not to, okay, sorry. This isn't to generalize all landlords, but I would say a good percentage of them, they all have that a similar personality because it's like you kind of like people automatically interact with you in like the most positive way and like give you all the power because they want a place to live. And people fucking get off on that. It's really like, but I think it's a little sketchy.
So I would agree with you. And we've talked about nurses on this podcast, which I feel is rude to talk shit on nurses because like first responders, thank you so much. Like big fans, thank you. But just that there's some nurses, this is pre-pandemic. Let's live in a world where this hasn't happened yet.
This is and it's like a specific subset that you and I have both discovered, and I've talked to other people about it, and they agree. So I'm just like, we're not saying all nurses.
It's not all. We're never saying all. We're not, but I feel like let's just take the people we know who are nurses. We went to school with some people who became nurses, and I feel like they were like a very certain type of person. And I feel like they like really got off on having like a certain power dynamic, and it's not surprising at all that the vocation that they chose to make money is that they are in this position of power.
Yeah, sorry.
Personal experience. But the one thing I will say in defense of landlords, I don't think that people are always nice to them. And so I think because oh my gosh, Kate, when we were living at that place with the landlord who we became part of their family, and I will say I feel so bad talking shit on him because when we were gonna move out, he was like really accommodating, and because we moved out under like shady circumstances, and he was like very accommodating and was like really helpful in trying to help us find another place to live. And he had like a bunch of different properties and was like, please like take a look at the, like he was like he really liked us. But I think it's because the other tenants in the building were absolutely out of their minds. So there was one guy who would just straight up like yell at him. Like they would like have shouting matches. And I remember thinking like, this guy can like kick you out. Why aren't you being nicer?
That's weird to me. Like that's such a weird dynamic to have with your landlord, because it's like, well, they like own where you live. So shouldn't you be, you know what I mean?
I mean, they never kicked him out. He left on his own volition, but they would have shouting matches. Granted, it was like I understand the frustration. It was like there was something that needed to be fixed. I don't remember what it was, and it just like wasn't getting fixed, because if there's one thing that I've learned with landlords, it's that they like don't have the number to an actual plumber or like actual mechanic. They always are just like, "Oh, I can just do it." And it's like, "Oh, that's interesting. So you are
my cousin can do it." He was like some random person.
So, I don't know. I have to say I think like maybe since we are people who are very nice to our landlords, or like at least have like a respect for them, like we talk to them like they're people, it's harder to understand why they are a certain way. But I think that I have seen firsthand people be just like straight up so rude to these people, and I don't really understand it.
I've actually never seen that, but that honestly makes me feel better, because every time our landlord texts us, I think we're getting evicted. I have such a weird, like, anxious relationship to landlords. I think because I lived in San Francisco, where it's like a nightmare housing situation there. And so like our landlord came in and she like told us we couldn't put stuff on our walls, which I think is like not even allowed. Like she was like, you can't hang anything on your walls or like have decor. And I was like,
no decoration, sorry.
And so she like was gonna come into our house, and I was like, oh my God, she's gonna see the pictures everywhere, like obviously, and she's gonna kick us out. And Caleb's like, she's not gonna do that. Like, she's just gonna take our security deposit. Like, it's fine. And I was like, no, she's gonna kick us out. Like, we better start packing.
We better start packing.
That's my own weird psychology. I have a big, like, I'm terrified of authority. And it's usually perceived authority.
Do you know what's interesting is I have like a weird complex with that too. This is gonna make me sound like I need therapy, but guess what? I'm in therapy, so I beat you to that one. But I remember in high school, or even just like, I feel like I became conscious of it in middle school, because our middle school was 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. And so it was like the 7th and the 8th graders were kind of like king bee kind of a thing, because they were like the oldest. And I remember that it was just like, I had this ridiculous amount of respect for like the older kids. Do you know what I mean? Oh my gosh, we have a little man with us. Kate is getting Ernie situated. Oh, that's why your mic went out, was because you hit it.
Sorry.
Okay, so Kate is back. We were talking about landlords. We hit a little technical snag, but we are back in business, baby. Yeah, we were talking about landlords, and I feel like we actually kind of got to the end of that conversation. That was good timing by Ernie.
Yeah, he was like, enough of this.
Like, landlords, get rid of it, be banished.
He was probably a landlord in his past life, so he's kind of an issue with that. Well, should we get into it, Sid?
Let's get into it. Back to the grind.
Well, so I know that you, one of the things I know about you is that you are very interested in waterways.
Wow, how'd you know? I'm a Pisces.
I mean, sorry, I know you really well at this point. And so I thought, what you're probably dying to hear is about the Suez Canal.
I
I should have
am.
looked up how to pronounce it properly,
I think
but
it's Suez, right?
Suez, yeah, I believe so.
Like
Uh,
Suez, so cool.
Suez, you already did it. I was just gonna repeat what you did. Well, here's the thing. I'm not gonna get into the history very much. I'm not particularly enthralled by waterways as you are, I'm sorry
Mm,
to say.
I respect it.
But I heard this story the other day and I was like, I've never heard of that before. So, topic for the pod. Um, so we're going to be talking about the Suez Canal's Yellow Fleet. All right.
Oh, wait, can I
And
pause you real fast? The Suez Canal is
yes,
where
of course.
that the ship was stuck,
Well, why
right?
don't we show our image number one? Why don't we throw that up there?
Behind door number
So
one.
our listeners might remember this event that happened at the end of last year. I don't even know when it was. It was last year. It was
That's
the
what
end of
my
last
question
year.
was gonna be was I feel like it like simultaneously happened like last week and like 3 years ago.
It was last year, and I should know the date,
While
which
Kate
is
looks up the date,
embarrassing.
for those of you who are listening and not watching, we do put all of these images up on our Instagram, so you can check that out at Shut Up Keep Going, all one word, and we have an image guide that goes up the same day that the audio goes up. So if you're listening to this, that means the image guide is very much up there. So if you're wanting to join in on the fun, seeing all these images, hand selected, hand curated. Kate has
And
an
curated by
MFA.
MFA. Okay. Like that we're both on the same page about that. My credentials. I just want to throw something out there that's a little bit random.
Random.
This happened in such a in a month that I would not have said it happened. I was like, this was easily November 2021. Like just based on how last year went, I was like, this was the end of last year.
I would guess October then,
Which
since you're saying November, but I would have guessed November 1st.
do you want me to break your brain for a second?
No.
It was in March.
No. No. Kate. That's
Like
not,
what
no
happened
way.
last
That was
year?
not in March. Was it? No.
Last year was so weird. Like what happened?
I'm like not even
So what
trying to be
happened since
dramatic.
then?
Wait, it was in
I know
March?
that really freaked me out. Yeah,
How
it
long
says
did it
March
take? When did it get
23rd to March
resolved?
29th. It was a
What?
6-day ordeal.
I
Which
thought
to
it lasted
me
like
also,
6 months.
me too. I'm
What's
very confused.
happening? This feels like
I'm
a
very
time
upset by
warp.
this. This is not a good
March?
thing to start out my Monday. Hopefully we'll recover. Yeah, this is March 2021. I really thought it was like in October.
I thought it was like in October or
Oh
November.
goodness.
Like I thought you were going to say the way you were setting it up, I knew that that wasn't correct. And so I thought you were going to be like, it was actually in August, but not in March. March was like almost a
Well,
year ago now.
yeah, that's really disappointing. To know that I have no concept of time. But such is life in the 2020s. Well, anyways, this image will jog everyone's memory, I'm sure. One of my favorite events that's ever happened. I think it's so funny. I was in on the meme, loved it. I saw a guy dress up as this ship for Halloween, which I thought was a great outfit idea.
What did he wear?
And he wore just like it was a giant cardboard piece, and then he kept standing in doorways, and it was like blocking doorways. It was really good,
That is
like a
really
10 out
good.
of 10 costume. I just love stuff like this where it's like one thing happens and everyone is just it's pure comedy. You love to see it. Obviously, a lot of repercussions happen from this.
I would say the repercussions we
Like
don't love as much.
we don't love as much, but I had a good laugh when this happened. And okay, again, yes, the repercussions were not so good for the
Well,
supply
and
chain,
don't they kind
etc.
of continue? Like, was the supply chain already kind of like fucked before, or is this
Yeah, it
is it way
was. It
worse because
was.
of this? I don't really remember.
It was. because of the pandemic. And then
This just made it worse.
which then just made it worse. And I mean, it's just like, it's a symbolic thing, I think, that for the kind of economic crisis we're in a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyways, so this ship was called the Evergreen. It was one of the largest container ships ever built. And it's, I believe, nearly as long as the Empire State Building, which
Stop.
is freaking crazy.
No
Yeah.
way. That's so... Wait, how long is that? Do you have that information? I can look up how
No.
tall. How tall is the Empire State Building? It is 1,250 feet. 1,250.
Like, sure, I don't know. What is that? Can you give me something relative?
Okay, facts and figures. Empire State Building. At a glance, let's see. I feel like they have to have something about like no, they really don't. They don't have like a like Empire State. How tall is the Empire State Building compared to like I want to know like how many giraffes is it? You know?
Oh, that's good.
Okay, wait, let's look. How tall is a giraffe? Or like how tall is a cat? How long is a cat? Let's do some math. How long is a cat? Like the average like house cat. How long
You're
is a cat?
measuring the Empire State Building by how many how cats tall it is?
Yeah.
Really good comparison.
How long is a cat? Except it's hard to find this information. How long are cats?
Well, that's the big faux pas of the hit movie Cats, is that they, on the creative team, didn't decide what the proportion of a cat is. I think there was some internal disagreements because, you know, so the cats in the movie Cats are walking like if you were to prop your cat up on its hind legs, that's how they're walking. So they're a little bit taller, right, than like a normal cat walking is, right? So the proportions in that movie are like sometimes a hat will be like this big and then sometimes a hat will be like the size of a room. And you're like, so which is it? Like they stand on a railroad and like they're like the size of mice. But then in another thing, they're like humans. And it's just a freaking mess. But it's also an incredible film. I highly recommend watching it. It's pure entertainment. That's a really beautiful image.
Well, this is the only thing that's coming up. I'm like trying to figure out how long a cat is. And they're all like really depressing. It's like, how long is a cat a kitten? How long do cats live? There was one that said like dying cat. Signs a cat is dying. You're like,
well,
your video is doing some funky stuff, Kate.
What is happening?
Length of a cat. Oh, you're back. We're back.
Okay, she's back.
Okay, size up. How big do cats get? This is exactly what we want. So, domestic cats. I probably shouldn't just always agree to those. Having a cat. Let's just say like a tabby cat. Tabby cats aren't real cats. Oh my gosh.
We are really going down a rabbit hole.
Let's just say
a roundabout way to figure out how big
let's just say Bengal. So it's 8 to 10 inches. Okay, let's just say we'll cut it in half. We'll say it's a 9. We'll say it's 9 inches long. And then how tall is the Empire State Building? 1454 with the building with the spire and antenna. So 1454 divided by 9. So it's 161 and a half cats long. That doesn't help me at all. I still have no concept.
Wait, 161 cats long? That is not possible.
Oh, wait. It's because...
That's really short.
Wait, that's not... It's because I did it. It's just a... That's not long. I'm drooling. Okay, let's run it back. So 9 over 12 is 0.75 of a foot. Okay. Sorry, guys. So, I'm sweating. So 1454 in feet. Okay, wait. Let's just convert it to inches. So the Empire State Building... The Empire State Building is 17,448 inches tall, right? And so then we divide it by 9, which is the length of the average Bengal cat in inches. And it'd be, so the Evergreen ship is about 1,939 cats long.
I don't think that's true.
It is! I just did the math!
No, because you did the math based on
Inches.
Yeah, but I think you mean feet, right?
Well, no, because I converted, so the Empire State Building is about 50, let's just call it 1,500 feet, right? And so I made 1,500 feet and then multiplied by 12 to convert it to inches. So now we're looking at it's 18,000 inches tall, which doesn't sound very tall. I'm on board with you. It's not that tall. But then we divide it by the 9 inches that we know the Bengal cat is long. And then, wait, how come it's different? Oh, because I was rounding. And then we get about 2,000 cats long. This isn't helping. That's not very long. That's not impressive to me.
9,000 cats?
No, 2,000 cats long. Like if they were standing like human centipede.
Like if they're
like mouth to butt.
Okay. I'm gonna trust you on this. It is Monday, so it's a little hard for me to be doing this complex algebra involving container ships, but I'm with you.
Okay.
So if that visual helps you, everyone, it's 2,000 cats long, which I still don't totally believe, but
well, and we got, sorry, I see some people in the chat are arguing with me that Bengal cats aren't that long. Excuse me, we went to dimensions.com and oh wait, no, they're totally right. Oh my gosh, Sid! If you scroll down a little bit, a cat is actually 14 to 18 inches long. I was looking at how long their neck is, I guess. I don't really know what this measurement is. This is such a disaster. Oh, it's height. So they're like 8 to 9 inches. Okay, so let's pretend if they're stacked.
I also just think it has to be more than 2,000 cats. I think something went wrong at the other.
No, it'll be less than 2,000 cats because if we use this, okay, let's try it again. Sorry, guys. We need to get this right. It's really the last time. It's the last time. Okay, so let's just take the average of 14 and 18 because they're saying Bengal cats are anywhere between 14 to 18 inches long. And that gives us 16 inches. So we're working with 16 inches here. Now, the Empire State Building is 1,454 feet tall. We need to now convert that to inches. So we're going to multiply by 12. That gives us 17,448 inches tall, right? So now we're going to divide by that 16 inches that we found earlier, which is the average length of a Bengal cat. And that gets us 1,090 cats long is the Evergreen ship, which is the same length as the Empire State Building.
Nearly the same length. Nearly.
Give or take a few cats.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm really glad we got that out of the way, that everyone can visualize the cats. I do think we should continue using this measurement model for things in the future. Mm-hmm. It's kind
of how many cats? Well, and now we know that the average Bengal is about 16 inches.
Good morning.
Oh, and that guy's so right. The ship is called the Ever Given.
It's not the Evergreen.
I'm gonna be honest. You're so right, and that shows what my reading comprehension is because I just kind of blazed past it, and I'm like, sure.
It's our first episode back, y'all. So we're just. Okay, but it says Evergreen on the side.
Okay, sorry.
It says Evergreen on the side.
Okay, this is a giant conspiracy.
Oh, but then it says Ever Given over here on the bow.
Okay, well, this isn't what the topic is about, so let's just get past this. Okay, I wrote down all this shit about what happened to make this ship go in that direction, but basically winds, environmental factors, it got wedged. They're still trying to figure out like who's to blame. The other interesting thing though is that the Ever Given ship, okay, was at almost as deep as the canal is itself. So that seems like that's kind of a recipe for disaster.
Deep as in like we're talking like how far down does the canal go to the earth?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's kind of a mess.
Okay.
As this podcast is, it's kind of on brand.
Are we the Ever Given? Should we change our podcast name
I think this episode is our Ever Given. Which, you know,
why would you make a
take what you
ship
will from
that
it.
deep?
I think because it's huge. as
But why
fuck.
not just make it like longer? Why make it deeper?
Okay, you can't ask how many cats deep that is because I don't have that information.
I can check. Here, let's check. Suez Canal depth. Look. Okay. Suez Canal depth. It has to tell us how deep it is. Deep. Strabo wrote. Wait, who made a trench? 1 second. It's in here. 8. Layout and operation. Okay. So it is 79 feet deep. This is easier math. So it's said the
Times
Suez
that by 12.
79
Divided
feet
by
times
whatever.
12 divided by 16. It is 59 cats deep.
That's
But
not.
well, that's not true because that's
not-
not the stacked cats. Sorry, let's stack the cats this time. So just a reminder, everybody, before we were we were doing the length, but if we want to do the height of the cats, because I think just visually it's so hard to imagine cats like laying on a vertical. That's not how they lay. So I think we have to pretend they're all standing on top of each other. So let's just redo that math one more time. Suez Canal is 79 feet deep, which is 948 inches deep. And then we are going to divide by 9, which is the average height of a Bengal cat. And we get 105 cats stacked on top of each other.
Well, I think we just found out what our matching tattoo is, which is just a bunch of cats stacked on top of each other next to a ruler. Like, I feel like we can
really work with
workshop
that.
This. We're really getting close to what it should be.
We can really work with that. Okay.
Okay, you can take this picture down. We're moving on from this. Okay, so the last time ships got stuck in the Suez Canal, they were there, Sydney, for 8 years.
What?
That was 6
Wait, it's
days.
happened
I'm
before?
sorry. Yeah, it apparently happens like kind of often, but usually they just kind of get them on their way pretty fast. One thing I do want to say is the cutest thing I read about canals is that, you know how there's tugboats?
Yeah.
They just call them like, ooh, a Norwegian tugger, which I just think is so cute.
It makes
Or
me
kind of sexual.
I was going to say it just makes me think of like somebody pleasuring themselves.
Yeah, do you watch John Wilson? How to John Wilson?
Yes.
Did you see the
I-
tugger episode?
I did. I thought you were going to ask
Incredible TV.
You guys should all watch How To with John Wilson, by the way. But I thought you were gonna talk about TC Tuggers, the not How I Met Your Mother. I Think You Should Leave episode. Have you seen that skit? It's like a shirt that has like a little thing on it so that when you get hot, you can tug on it.
Great concept, honestly.
It's really smart.
Okay. Anyways, we're getting away from that. Wow, this is the biggest ADHD episode we've ever had. And to be perfectly transparent with all of our listeners, I was like, oh, this topic isn't that long. Like, we should feel free to like kind of go off. We really took that directive well.
We
I
did.
would
I'm
say.
obedient. The landlords
You
love
delivered.
me.
Okay, so we're talking 8 years they were stuck from 1967 to 1975 in the aftermath of the 6-Day War, which I'll get into slightly. I'm
Wait.
not gonna get that into it.
Okay, wait, 2 things. 1,
Yes.
is it a conspiracy that it was the aftermath of the 6-Day War and then the last time that the Ever Given got stuck, it was for 6 days?
Sydney,
Were they 8 years apart?
wait. No.
Oh.
Wait, what's 8 years apart?
Like, was this that you're talking about, like, did that happen 8 years ago?
No, it happened in 1967 to 1975, which I already said.
I wasn't paying attention. Okay, second question is, did they at least get the crew out? Or was the crew stuck on the ships for 8 years?
Yes, they were.
They were stuck on the
Some
ship?
of them. That's what we're going to be talking about
Oh
because
my
that was
gosh.
so okay. We're going to get into that.
Okay.
So 14 strips, strips,
Chicken
14
strips?
ships.
I'm just imagining 14 chicken strips just like floating in the canal. But like really big chicken strips.
Okay, 14 ships were stranded in the Great Bitter Lake, which is a salt lake. So the canal, I should have made a map. It's like in two pieces, and then there's this like lake in the middle. They
Mhm.
were stuck in this lake for 8 years and unable to leave the cruise that were later dubbed the Yellow Fleet. I don't know why. Oh
I
no,
mean,
I do know
unfortunately,
why.
are they
Ships
from
went
Asia?
down. Holy shit. I am really rusty at this. I'm going to be honest. The Yellow Fleet, because of the desert sand that eventually covered them, developed Sydney their own society. Okay, because they
I
were there for
mean,
eight
yeah, they
years.
were there for 8 years. Where is their family? Do you think their wives got remarried? Or
Well,
were
okay,
they
I
waiting for
think
them?
that some people like got like flown out, but like the companies had to keep people on the ships because they were just stuck there. They didn't want to abandon their ships. Do you know what I mean? Because they were full of cargo.
I would have to be paid so much money to guard somebody else's cargo so that my company's ship didn't get like looted. They would have to pay me so much.
Well, it seemed kind of fun in some ways.
Oh, okay.
So really quick, I wrote down so much background information, but based on how this is going and us measuring things by stacked cats, I don't think people are looking for hard facts here. So we're just gonna move past that. And let's just say in 1967, Egypt and Israel went into a war that's called the Six-Day War. And though that specific conflict only lasted 6 days, the fallout for it would stretch on for decades. And so a guy that was on one of a British ship that was going through the canal said, quote, the captain communicating by pipe and whistle called me up to tell me that he heard a war had just broken out between Israel and the Arab states. And he says, if you see anything unusual, please let me know, but don't tell the Egyptian pilot because there was a pilot on the ship who was Egyptian. And he's like,
Okay.
it's about to go down.
Dumb question.
So,
Pilot like an air
yes,
pilot, or is a pilot like a position in the ship,
it's
like
a position
hierarchy?
on the ship.
Okay.
I don't know where on the hierarchy. I did not get into that. I do know that the Yemen,
The yeet the yeetman?
you know
Yeet.
the Yeatman is kind of the HR person on the ship,
Oh.
or at least in modern terms.
They
Because
have an
my friend
HR?
is in the Coast Guard. Then she's a Yemen, and she basically is HR.
Interesting. So like when people have like sexual harassment claims, they like go to her.
Yeah, oh my god, you took it so seriously. I was like,
Well,
if like
that's
a
what I think of
skipper
for
is fighting
HR.
with a salesman, like
Oh.
whatever. But yes, they would. You're
Oh,
correct on that.
okay.
I watched her dog when she went on a long cruise on her
Oh.
ship as the Yemen. Anyways, so so as part of this 6 day that became a very long conflict, Egypt blockaded the canal and it blocked both ends with scuttled ship debris and sea mines to prevent its use by Israeli forces. Which meant that ships sailing from West Germany, Sweden, France, the United Kingdom, Poland, Bulgaria, Czechoslovakia, and the United States were stranded in the middle of the canal and had to watch the war unfold around them. Which crazy, right?
How long do you
Because
have this
they're
information?
fighting over this canal.
How long is the canal? Like how long does it usually take a ship to pass it? I don't know
Okay,
anything
I
about
don't know
water.
how long, but I do know that it's 120 miles. I don't know how long it takes to get through there, but it connects, as we know, the Gulf of Suez, which is the northern branch of the Red Sea, with the Mediterranean. So it's like a really good spot right there.
Okay.
I don't know how long 120 miles takes. I should have looked
How
that up.
fast do ships go? How fast do cargo ships go?
I'm glad you're looking it up.
Um,
It's true, depending on how many knots you're traveling.
Oh, it's going to be in knots. You're right. You
It
might go
takes 10
100.
days at 20 knots to pass the Suez Canal. Interesting.
Oh, really? Because this
I should.
says the average cargo ship. Never mind. I don't know.
I should have. I'm so sorry. I should have looked that up.
How fast are
Okay.
cats in knots?
Oh no.
Unfortunately, dimensions.com doesn't have that information.
Well, are they running? Or are they trotting? Or are they just walking at their
I think they're just
like?
walking at their leisure.
Okay. Well, anyways. So, let's keep going. So,
Okay, so there's
world
fighting all around them. They're stuck.
There's fighting all around them. These ships are stuck. So, if you didn't know, in 1967, the world was a little bit less connected, right? So, the ships had radios and could call home, but Egyptian authorities eventually asked them to stop. So, governments kind of came in and started negotiating the exchange of crews from the ships. And then supplies came in from Egypt so that those that had to stay on the ships could like survive. And some of the sailors went home because they didn't need so many people manning the ship because they would be stuck. So then one Captain Miroslav he's Polish, so I'm not going to try to pronounce his name. But he's telling this in the New York Times. He says, essentially, we were in a very comfortable prison. The first month was like a holiday. Second month was very hard. And by the end of the third month, it was terrible.
Oh,
so
about what I'd expect.
He should kind of hold his horses a little bit because he's going to be stuck there for 8 years. So if 3 months is hard, ooh-wee.
Multiply that. Ooh-wee. Wait, can I interject real fast?
Yes.
So chat did come up clutch, and we have some speeds for cats.
Oh, great.
So the average cat walking speed, according to Map 50 Caliber, says that it's 2 miles per hour, which is 1.74 knots. And Reality Kings says cats can run at 26.06 knots or 30 miles per hour. So we'll let you.
They can run that fast?
Right? No, cats are fast.
30 miles an hour, a house cat? Are we sure?
Like crazy. One that's like in shape. Like I don't think it's a house cat that like, has
not an Ernie.
Sorry, I don't think Ernie can run that fast. But I actually would believe that Chester could run that fast in little spurts. He has kind of short legs though. Anyways, continue. I just, in case people want to do their own math and see how many cats fast the ships would take to go through the canal.
Well, that's really good intel. So Ernie would kind of rip through that canal in a few days, right?
Right? Well, how many? You said 120 miles long?
Yeah.
So if it's 100, I guess I'm just doing the math, you guys. 120 divided by 2 is 60. So if a cat is just walking through the canal, and I don't know what knots is even a measurement of, but the cat would take 60 hours to walk the canal, which if you need it, the calculation is 2.5 days, and that's with no rest. So let's assume that they walk 8 hours a day and take adequate rest. We'll call it 60 divided by 8. It would take a little 7.5 days for them to walk at a leisurely pace with adequate rest through the Suez Canal.
Okay, so if we plan like a 2-week block for Ernie to do this, that includes travel, that includes a little bit of vacation afterwards for him because he'll be very tired for walking.
Yeah, you have to take some time off. But that's why they're only walking for 8 hours. The rest of it, they can kind of like rest their feet, get a foot massage, maybe like have some breakfast.
Yeah, they're going to need to recover from this walk. So they're probably just going to walk alongside the canal, right?
Yeah, wait, how fast do cats swim? Just kidding.
Oh my God, stop. Okay. We're going back. So over the next 8 years, there's people stranded here. Mm-hmm. They developed their own system.
God, 8 years is so long.
that own the ships were able to cycle out crews to maintain the ships. And sorry, that's Ernie.
How many ships were
Um,
stuck? Is there a number for that? Sorry, I'll stop asking questions. Go ahead.
I didn't write it down. I didn't write it down. I'm sorry. I don't believe it was very many though. I had to be honest. I think it was like less than you think.
Okay. That's enough for
I think
me.
it was like no, it was 14. It was 14.
Okay, cool. Got
14
it.
ships. So not that many. But they were from all different countries, which is super fun. Like they could kind of share experiences,
So they had
and
like a
they did.
melting pot.
They really did. So the ships, as time started to pass, they're like, listen, we're in this. Like, let's make the best of this. So they started to play soccer on people's other decks ships. They attended church service on the West German motor ship, and they went to watch movies on the Bulgarian freighter. So
Oh,
they also had their own postal system, and let's just say intense amount of beer were consumed on the ship. So it's kind of just like a giant vacation for these people.
OWA.
wow.
So
Did they look at it? Did they have like a doctor and stuff? Like, was it like a full society?
I think that they probably had some sort of medic because people were like living on the ships themselves. So
Oh, that's
the
a good
companies
point.
like
Yeah.
provided for them. Um, so by the end of the state, at the end of this 8-year stay, someone said there must be 5 feet worth of beer bottles at the bottom of the canal from all the beer they consumed.
Maybe that's why
So
the green given, what was that called? The ever given? Maybe it got stuck
Ever
on all
Given.
the beer.
That's so true, because that probably stays underwater for a very long time. So in addition to kind of hanging out, watching movies, going to church, like learning from each other, in 1968, they ran their own Olympic Games. 10
What?
days ahead of the real thing. And we actually have a picture of that. That's actually the third image. But if you want to throw up the second image really fast so people can see these are them
Wait, that one ship looks
stranded.
like it's sinking. What's the deal with that?
Okay, I don't actually like go past this picture. We're gonna ignore this picture. This is the Olympic Games. So that's them playing soccer on the
What?
Bulgarian.
That's so cute.
I know, right? And so they competed in 14 events, including diving, sprinting, high jump, archery, and water polo. And the Polish crews even minted medals to hand out at an award ceremony.
Ah,
So they really just went for it. I mean, they have a lot of time. So I love the event planning that went into this.
wait, that's so wholesome.
There also, Sydney, you'll love to hear this, was a soccer playing dog named Bull Bull who participated in the games and was awarded a medal.
Was he the basis for the Academy Award nominated film Air Bud?
You know, I'm sure that's an early reference. I'm sure he served as an inspiration. Wait, I thought Airbud was basketball?
There's
Or
a
did he play
soccer
all
one.
games?
There's a
Oh, of
soccer
course.
one. I don't know what the name's different, but there is a
You need
soccer
an
version.
Airbud for cats,
I know.
right?
What is this? Maybe that can be our big break in Hollywood. Is we'll write Air Bud, but it's
Yeah.
cats.
We could just kind of look at like what cats are physically good at and then find sports that would
Like
match,
high jump.
you know? High jump, they would be
They're
great
really good at
at.
track.
Yeah. Gymnastics, almost, I would say. Like they're
Gymnastics is
pretty
good.
flexible.
And they land on their feet.
Yeah. So we'll workshop this. I feel like we can find some stuff to get them involved with. So things continued this way until 1975 when Egypt lifted the blockade at the end of the Yom Kippur War, and only 2 ships were able to leave on their own. Weather neglect and repeated salvage operations had worn out the other 12. So they had to be kind of helped out, if not disassembled and taken out. Which kind of goes to show you why didn't they just abandon the ship? at this point.
Well,
If you have
that
8 years,
yeah.
I feel like I don't know.
When do you call
I
it?
couldn't find the answer to that. But maybe the guys just had a really good camaraderie and they're like, listen, I don't want this to end. And I do know that that's slightly true because apparently there's reunions of the people that were on the ships because they really bonded.
Oh my gosh. Did it say how many people were actually stranded? I know you said 14 ships, but like how many?
Well, they were constantly cycling out the crew, so I don't know if there's an on that.
Okay. But like, do we have like ballpark, like over, under 100, like 200, like how many?
I would say under 100, under
Okay.
100. Yeah. I read somewhere that it was it was like 90 people or something at one point. So that's really it. That's the Yellow Fleet of the Suez Canal.
Yeah. Was Yellow Fleet
goes to
the name of their society?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they
sorry.
have little badges that they would wear, and they have decorative postage stamps because they would send letters amongst each other. I'm sure romances were had, like it's probably somewhat of a utopian society. There's a lot of beer. So I just thought that was interesting. I was like, never heard of that. That's funny.
That's super interesting. Wait, where did you like what spurred this?
I was randomly reading about I remember I was like, did that ship ever get stuck? And then I somehow got on this and I was like, oh, I've never heard of that. Good topic for the pod.
It was.
I wanted to start off with something light. It got a little, I wouldn't say heavy, but kind of a mind game to figure out that cat situation.
There was some math. I wasn't expecting to do that much math this morning.
I think now we're probably just going to have to do that with every topic.
Yes, everything is.
Get our bearings with
the height and length of cat. That's confusing though. I mean, to my credit, when I did it with the length or with the height, this doesn't look like height. Using your brain, obviously a cat isn't 8 to 10 inches long, but like this is confusing. This looks like it's because this is all I saw. So I was like, oh, but this is the length. Like, I like all of these. Sorry, now we're just looking at the website. I like all of the cat pictures.
Bengals are cute.
They are really cute. However, I think just like go like adopt, don't shop, because I feel like most of the time when people are like obsessed with having a Bengal, they like usually buy them from a breeder, and it's like there's so many cats though that don't have
so many cats. And if you as a cat person, if you get a cat from a kitten, you can help nurture that thing into any kind of.
Oh, totally. Well, I think any cat, if you give them a loving environment, it might take a while, but I think if you give them space and let them feel safe.
Yeah. I mean, case in point, Ernie. Well, I don't know. He was kind of misbehaving. My mic out, but
acting out. He wanted some attention. Okay.
Well, thank you everyone for listening.
Yeah, thanks for coming on this journey. It is good to be back. We'll be back every week, baby. Again, you can find us live on Twitch to watch the madness ensue. We go live at 9:15 a.m. Pacific, 12:15 p.m. Eastern on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/SidSoGood. And you can find the image guide every week on our Instagram, which is Shut Up Keep Going, all one word. And then new episodes live. Wait, what am I trying to say? New episodes go live. New episodes go live on Fridays. Friday morning, anywhere you watch your podcast, on YouTube. That's the happening. Every Monday, we live record the pod. This is getting so long. Just basically, if you want to watch it live, watch us on Monday mornings on Twitch. Sid's so good. And if you want to listen to the VOD, it's on Fridays. That's what it is.